All right, Alexander, we have some more news on Ghislaine Maxwell. I think let's start with the big rumor that's going around, and I think it'll be confirmed in a few days. That's my hunch, but we still don't know. And that is the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell may be married. And there are a lot of rumors going around. She was married to this, maybe she is, or maybe she was married to this Scott Borgenson guy. But I don't know, it just doesn't make sense. There was one of our viewers that sent out, did a little investigating and found out that Maxwell seemed to have been married in Osceola, Florida on the 27th of September, 1993. There are records of that. That would conclude that that may have been Epstein. We have to dig into that a little more. We couldn't find the name of the person on those records. It just says that there are records of a marriage. So we have to dig into that one a little bit more and see if there's a name attached to those records. To me, that would conclude Epstein. Florida, Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein were probably there, and they probably married, most likely for financial reasons, I would assume. I don't know. And there are other rumors going around that she married recently, and most likely once again to hide millions upon millions of dollars, to have access to those funds of which are probably sitting with that unidentified spouse. Anyway, Alexander, the $1 million question: do you think Ghislaine is married, was married? What's your take?
Well, she was or is married, because the U.S. authorities are saying so, and I presume they would know. Whom she is married to, I don't know. Whether she's married to this Scott Borgeson person, I have to say, I've looked at this. I think that's a bit. I'm a bit skeptical about it. I mean, it seems very vague. It's all about, that he boasted that he had this glamorous girlfriend who spoke 5 languages, and that could very well have been Ghislaine, but that doesn't follow that they're married. And the way the U.S. authorities are talking is that this is a pretty recent marriage, and I'm going to come to that in a moment. But we've also had this viewer of ours who's come and told us that he was able to find evidence that she was married in Florida in 1993. 1993 would be a very interesting time. It's shortly after, I think I'm right in saying, shortly after her father dies, and it's about the sort of time when she was presumably getting into contact with Epstein. And as you correctly say, if there was a marriage then, she'd have been 32. That would make complete sense that she'd be married with Epstein. And there'd be lots of people who say that she was very keen to marry Epstein and was in fact in love with him. So, it would make complete sense. The only thing I would say is I would again obviously want to see the actual documents, the actual proof that they were married. I'm not, questioning what our viewer has sent us, but I'd like to see the actual documents. And I do find it a bit odd, a bit rather strange, but there's so much about this case is strange, is that we have evidence of a marriage, but not evidence of both of the parties. I mean, it may be that this is just the rule in Florida, but in Britain, you can go to the Register of Marriages. You find that, you will find very quickly who was married to whom. I would invite our viewers, including that viewer who sent us that piece of information, to, if they can, it's easier for them to do it from the United States, do a little bit more exploring, find out whether there really was a marriage in 1993 and who the parties to that marriage were. And if it's, of course, Epstein himself, which would seem plausible in terms of the time and the facts, then that would explain a great deal. It would, by the way, explain the court case that that Ghislaine has brought against Maxwell, Epstein's estate. I mean, it would explain what that's all about. Because if our viewers remember, I was a bit puzzled about that. I really didn't really make very much sense to me. But if they were actually married, then it would make much more sense, and that would explain it. Now, having said this, this other marriage, if or this more recent marriage, or this current husband, whichever it is, whom the U.S. authorities are talking about, I'm going to say this: no doubt there is a marriage of some sort. No doubt there is a husband. But I am very suspicious about the whole affair. And what makes me so suspicious is that her lawyers are now claiming that she's down to her last $1 million. I'm afraid I am very cynical, very skeptical about that. Wealthy people are very skilled in concealing their assets. We've already heard from the federal authorities, the US authorities, that they've discovered lots of different accounts that she's been controlling in different parts of the world. It seems to me, and I'm guessing here, but this is an informed guess based on good experience, that this could be a marriage of convenience with assets transferred to the name of this person as a way of concealing them from the US authorities. I mean, that would be completely typical. She owns, apparently, an apartment in Belgravia, which is in London, one of the most expensive parts of London. I would guess that must be worth money much more than $1 million. I mean, that's that property alone, and she certainly owns that still because she offered it as surety in her attempt to obtain bail. So there's that property in Britain. There are other properties apparently in New York. There's this big property in New Hampshire where she was hiding, which she bought with cash, though of course her lawyers are sort of trying to make out that really wasn't her. I mean, I just don't believe the story that she's down to $1 million. I don't think anybody should take it too seriously. And I suspect strongly that this mysterious husband is part of that, is an exercise in trying to squirrel away assets under someone else's name. That's what I'm guessing it's all about.
Yeah, I think you're right. Here's an excerpt from Bloomberg. At the bail hearing, prosecutors said they identified more than 15 different bank accounts associated with Maxwell from 2016 to the present, with balances ranging from hundreds of thousands of dollars to more than 20 million. Okay, 20 million. It's a large sum. She sold a Manhattan townhouse for 15 million in 2016 and still has one in London that she offered as a bail guarantee. You mentioned that, Alexander. It's also unclear whether Maxwell has access to funds from an unidentified spouse mentioned by prosecutors Tuesday. There it is. She previously toured the secluded New Hampshire estate where she was arrested July 2 with a man who said he was her husband. According to prosecutors, the property was actually purchased by Maxwell for $1 million in cash using a limited liability company. After she was arrested, she told authorities she didn't know the name of the company that owned the house and that she merely had permission to stay there. Yeah, there's a lot of BS going around.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think we should take any of this seriously. By the way, I'm going to give a piece of advice to Ghislaine. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this, but I mean, I think she should drop the BS and cooperate fully with the authorities in her own interests and tell them everything that she knows and not make all these pretenses and play all these absurd games. I understand that rich people, she's probably frightened that, all these victims will start to sue her. I'm sure they will sue her, and they'll sue her for everything she's got. But there it is. I mean, that's what's going to happen. She's not going to be able to hide these assets away indefinitely, not for very long. And I think all that she is doing by playing these games, with mysterious husbands that turn up and then don't turn up, and assets that, 15 million disappears here, when you sell a property, and then there's an account of 20 million there, and, we don't know anything about it, and all that nonsense is just going to really annoy the federal authorities. And of course, if it ever gets to a jury, it's going to make a disastrous impression.
All right. Let's see, where else should we go with Ghislaine rumors. From the New York Post, Ghislaine Maxwell's lieutenant, Sarah Kellen, may be arrested next, her parents fear. So, we don't have rock solid confirmation here as I'm going through the story, but if this is true, if this is true, Alexander, this means that the DOJ and the FBI, they're widening the net.
Yeah, absolutely, which is exactly what they're doing. And that, by the way, tends to it strengthens my view that our analysis that Jeff Berman was removed as U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York because he was slow boating this investigation, and that the investigation has accelerated since he was removed, because this person, Kellen, could have been arrested at any time, it seems to me. I mean, I don't see why that depended on Ghislaine's arrest. So it suggests to me the fact that the US authorities always apparently knew where Ghislaine was. They decided to arrest her when Jeff Berman was out of the way. There was the decision, which just happened just before Berman was sacked, to come after Prince Andrew. And now, as I said, there's talk about Kellen being arrested too. So it seems to me that this investigation is now picking up steam and at an accelerating pace, which is a sign, to my mind, that it was being slow boated before, but that isn't the case anymore.
All right, and finally, Alexander, the last story that we'll cover here is a title from Zero Hedge. Quote, ask Prince Andrew about it. Trump warned Epstein's island was, quote, and I quote, an absolute cesspool in 2015. So a video has surfaced, Alexander, with now U.S. President Donald Trump, but then businessman Donald Trump, speaking with Bloomberg Politics. And The Sun unearthed this video, and Trump makes a brief comment about Epstein's, and he calls it Epstein's pedo island. And he mentions Prince Andrew, and he calls it an absolute cesspool. I think the reporters asked him a question, something along the lines of, they asked him what he knew about it, what he knew about his good friend. They said his good friend Epstein, something along those lines. And then Trump just whipped it right back and said the place is an absolute cesspool. Ask Prince Andrew about it. Don't ask me. And he once again, in my mind, has confirmed that U.S. President Trump, the minute he found out that Epstein was up to all kinds of no good, really distanced himself from the entire affair. Actually, the question was asked. Why did the reporters ask this question? It was around the same time that Virginia Giuffre was rolling out her case against Epstein and Prince Andrew. So, what do you make of this?
But I think it's actually one of the most interesting things that has come out up to now, because quite apart from that, by the way, I watched the video, and it's Trump seems also to be referencing the Clintons. And he seems to be making this comment in connection with Hillary Clinton's pending presidential bid. So, I mean, he seems to me to be sort of pointing in that direction also. But firstly, you're absolutely right. I think this buries once and for all any suggestion that Donald Trump was in any way implicated with any of the things that Epstein was up to. I've never believed that. Everything I've heard is that, when he discovered what Epstein was up to, when Epstein was trying to, recruit girls or basically, entice girls away who were being employed at Mar-a-Lago, Trump's club, when Trump found out about it, he threw Epstein out of the club, broke all contacts with him. And, well, you hear what he says to say about, in this video from 2015, about Epstein's island. So, I think it's conclusively clear that Trump has nothing to do with Epstein, isn't implicated in any way, is entirely in the clear about this. And you see how strongly he speaks about Epstein. He's obviously revolted by the man. And he's also, as I said, quite clearly fingering Andrew. Now, that is interesting in itself, because at this point, the stories about Andrew were in a very, very early stage. But Trump, at that point, before he's obviously well before he's president. His campaign hasn't even really probably begun at that point. He's already talking about Andrew in this fashion, and that again, it seems to me, shows that Donald Trump, who, let's remember, was a prominent personality in New York at this time, would have prominent person in the New York social scene, probably getting a lot of the gossip on the social scene. He was already talking and knowing about the fact that Andrew was heavily implicated in the kind of things that Epstein was doing. So Trump is completely in the clear of that. I have no doubt at all. I think this video proves it conclusively. And it seems to me that what Trump says basically highlights, firstly, the fact that Epstein's activities were well known to lots of people. And secondly, that people like Andrew and the Clintons were, shall we say, on the scene, and that Trump was not. I mean, I think that's what we can say.
Yeah, isn't it interesting that in 2015, Trump was warning the press, the media. I mean, Bloomberg is a massive media outlet. He was warning them about what Epstein was doing. I mean, once again, in Trump's, colorful language, he calls it a cesspool.
Yes.
He calls it the pedo island, the cesspool. Ask Prince Andrew about it. I mean, Trump lays it all out there.
Absolutely.
But Silicon Valley was quiet about it. Remember when we talked about that Ellen Powell who said, "Oh yeah, we would show up at the parties, but when we all knew what was going on, but we didn't say anything. We all knew what was going on," she said. We all knew that that Epstein was up to no good, and all these things that she was talking about as a Silicon Valley insider. The Clintons knew what was going on. They must have known what was going on. They didn't say anything. So many powerful people just kept quiet.
Well, this is an extremely important point, actually, because so many things that Trump says that people ridicule and mock him for turn out to be true. This is one example. I can remember another one, a comment he made in March 2017, which has stayed with me in connection with Russiagate, when he was talking about illegal surveillance of his campaign and the fact that his phone was tapped. And it turns out that was true also. And people were again saying, including Obama, by the way, it's all nonsense. Trump's making it all up. He's a fantasist. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And it turned out to be completely true. And Donald Trump has this extraordinary and strange ability to put his finger on things and to describe them exactly as they are, to say it as it is. And many years later, in both this case, the Epstein case, and in the other one about the tapping of the phones, it turns out he's right. And that all those people who wrote him off as a clown and a narcissist and a fabulist and a dreamer who makes things up, it turns out that he was right all along. Of course, you never see people say that. You never see people come back. Even a lot of his own supporters, they don't come back and say, well, Trump said it as it was.
He called it 2000. That was 2015.
2015. That's 5 years. 5 years ago. 5 years ago. 4 years before. Well, more than 4 years before Epstein. Inverted commas, died. So I mean, there you go.
Right. Inverted commas. Yeah. Okay. We'll leave it there, Alexander. Let's see, guys. Hit that like, support the channel, leave us a comment. Please donate to us on PayPal, Patreon, and Subscribestar as well. Your donation helps us keep this channel up and running, and we really need your help because YT is always coming down hard on us. And also go to the Duran Shop, pick up some merchandise. Our new merchandise is really, really gaining a lot of attention. People really love the new mugs. They love the new shirts. So check it out at the website, duranshop.com. And what else? Do you have the Patriot Beacon there?
I certainly do. I always have it. I always have it there.
Okay, and let's give a shout out to our friends at Patriotic Legacy and the Patriot Beacon 3. Ships all over the world. It is the Swiss Army knife of flashlights. It does everything. It is the Patriot Beacon 3. and you get 20% off when you put the code Duran20 at checkout. 20% off when you use the code Duran20. You'll find a link to their website, The Patriotic Legacy, underneath this video as well, Alexander.
The Swiss Army knife of flashlights with its incredible beam, powerful beam, which you can see, which you can dim, and which you can use as a sort of warning flash like that. And then you've got all kinds of things you can do. You can alarm. You can have an alarm. You've got a compass in case you get lost. You can, because it's solar powered and it doesn't run out on you, you can recharge your laptop or a smartphone from the port here. And of course, it's also an incredibly useful tool. You can use it as a hammer, or you can break a windscreen if you ever need to, or you can use this accessory to cut seat belts. But the thing I really love about it is how beautifully made it is. It is the Patriot Beacon by our friends at the Patriotic Legacy, made in the United States, a superb, wonderful product, ships all over the world. Alex will tell you how to get one and how to join the competition. And can I just say, we've got the most amazing products in our shop. You can see our mugs here, Britain and the United States. We've also got smaller mugs now, magic mugs, Russia and Greece. You can see the smaller mugs there. And we've got enameled mugs in our shop. Also, we've got amazing new products of every description. The best mugs in the world, the best shirts in the world. We've got marvelous new range of products coming out. Alex has refreshed our shop wonderfully, so you can support the Duran by coming to our shop and supporting us in that way. So please come to our shop, support us in that way. Alex will tell you how at the end of the program.
Alexander Mercouris, Editor-in-Chief of the Duran, thank you very much. Guys, you'll find all the information for the products in the description box down below. Until next time, everybody, take care.